with Terraform installed, you're ready to create your first infrastructure. So in this exercise, you will provision an EC2 instance on Amazon Web Services, that is AWS. EC2 instances are, I think most of the people you know that. If anybody if anybody it does not know, so it's for them. It's like EC2 instances are virtual machines running on AWS and a common component of many infrastructure projects. So now let's look into the prerequisites. So okay, so the prerequisites to execute this uh, pro exercise. So we will write the prerequisites. So prereqs for building first infra first infrastructure in AWS. Okay, so the first one, as usual, the Terraform CLI 1.2.7. It is done and it was installed in our previous slide, in our previous session. So then we need to have AWS CLI, it's command line interface. So and then third one, AWS account. So then here we have to create IAM user. So there, and this IAM user should be configured with AWS CLI, so that from Terraform through AWS CLI we can operate AWS cloud. So it's like a remote for us. The Terraform is, it's like the best example I will take is TV. You are watching the TV, you want to see a football match, the FIFA. So then you will change the channel through remote and the change happens in the TV. So here this is you or you, and this is a remote control, and this one is our television. Okay, so that's the reason. But if remote to be work for this television should be configured with this remote. So that's what we are going to do. So I am user, after creating we have to configure this with the AWS CLI, and so we are gonna uh, do it. So uh, during configuration we have to look into a lot of other important concepts also. So that's what, and I am user with here I'll write an access key. I am user with access keys. Then that's it. These are the fundamental requirements. Okay, so first we will, Terraform was done, we have installed it. Then we will go for the AWS CLI. Then we'll go for the AWS account I am user with access keys. Okay, so as Terraform is done, now let's do installation of, I'll keep this aside here. So we will do the installation of AWS CLI. Let me clear the screen first. So to install AWS CLI, again I will use Choco. So let us go to the Chocolatey packages. Okay, chocolatey packages. Packages chocolatey. So I accept, and then so there is some disclaimers and all that information. So basically here you can find the chocolatey packages, and then this is our chocolatey package manager. So chocolatey software management for Windows specifically. So here you can search for what's that, AWS CLI. So you'll get chocolatey CLI and a lot of information. I think it's uh, so you have to search for your packages, and then once you get the packages you can use it. So let's get back to our PowerShell. So Choco install AWS CLI. Yes, Chocolatey version 1.1.0 is coming to the action. And what's that? Installing the following packages. By installing, you accept the license agreement. Installed 01. So warning, AWS CLI already installed. So AWS CLI is installed. So I have a AWS CLI. So you also follow with me and install the AWS CLI. Okay. So that means I will check the second one also. So 1 and 2 both are done. Okay. These two are done. So let me mark it. So now let's what what else is left? AWS account. I am user with accept with access keys. Okay. So now let me get into the uh, Amazon Amazon Web Services. So I'm here, Amazon Web Services. I have my account, so I don't need to create an account. If you do not have, please kindly create an AWS account. It's not a big uh it's not a difficult task. Okay, you just create your own and log in through root user. Okay, so now for us the first thing to do is an IAM. Okay, IAM account. So I'll click on IAM service. So here I can create an user. So this is where I create a user. So I have clicked on, I have selected IAM user service. So at this moment I have, so I'm a root user using MFA, multi-factor authentication. So root user has no active keys, that's fine. So presently there are two users, it doesn't matter. So now I have to create one more user for this purpose. It acts like a to configure, basically to configure the TV and a remote. So here to configure the cloud and your AWS CLI that is installed in my local machine, to configure both I need to create one user. So I have an existing user. So what I'll do is I'll I'll click on this. Okay, no, it's not required. I'll delete the existing user. I'll check it. It's I think 22 days back. 22 days back. Terra admin. Okay. Okay, it's done. Let me create a new user. So username I'll give Terraform. Okay, or else Terraform admin. Terraform admin. Okay. That's the username. And username we have given Terraform admin, or we can also give Terra admin. The simple one is this, the shortest one, Terra admin. Yep. So then select AWS access type. So I will go with the access key, programmatic access. I'll go with the programmatic access. Then I'll move for the permissions. Next permission, I'll attach existing policies. In that anyway I need all kind of access, so I'll go for administrator access. So then I will go to the next level after clicking administrator access. So I don't need to add any key, any add basically tags. I will move ahead. So Terra admin, so rest all, admin access and rest all, it's fine. So I'll create a user with the name Terra admin. So my user is ready with the name Terra admin and with access key ID, and this is the secret key, secret access key. So here is the file that whatever the access key and the secret key will be stored in this file. We can download that from here. So I have downloaded it. So please don't forget to download this. Okay. So once download is done, so your user is also ready. If you want to check, just get back to the IAM service and you can cross check it. Yeah. So users, yeah, Terra admin is ready. So meanwhile, let me, okay, here is the download file, and here is that. I'll keep this window like this so we can use it later. So, or else I'll open this one and I'll keep it open. And so this is your access user credential file. Here you will find, okay, so all the information about access key ID. This is access key ID and this is secret access key. Both are important. Both are important. Okay. So just keep this file aside for a few minutes. We'll come back to that. So let's get back to the, so your AWS account is ready. IAM user with access key is also ready. So the third part is also ready. So what is left? So what's left is configuring the, so configuring the TV and remote. So configuring the AWS CLI with IAM, with IAM user. That's a Terra admin. Okay. So this is left. So this we are gonna do now. Okay. For that again you have to open, okay, configuring now. For that we have to again open the Windows PowerShell. No, but this time we will use a Git bash. Okay. So let's use a Git bash because it's much easier. Of course, we can do it from here also. That's not an issue, but still we'll use Git bash. Okay. So let me make it bigger. Yeah. So to configure AWS, so type AWS configure. So first it's asking AWS access key ID. Where is that? Here it is. Access key ID is here. So I'll copy this and I will paste it. So then it is asking AWS secret access key. So let me get back to this file and copy the secret access key and paste it here. Then it's asking default region name. So which one is better? Let me check. So I'll get back to the instances EC2. Yeah, it's taking some time. Today network is damn slow. I don't know why. Okay, let's go to the EC2 global view. I think US East one is it's taking huge amount of time today. Yeah, uh, I'll go with US Virginia. Virginia is US East one. Ohio is US East two. So I'll go with the US East one. Okay, US East one. So default region name. So I'll go with US East one. Then default output as usual JSON. So that's it. Your the fourth activity is also done. That is your configuring the AWS CLI with IAM user. So I think all activities are done. So what's left? So your complete system to build an infrastructure is ready, other than creating a configuring file, a Terraform configuration file. Terraform configuration file. That's the only thing left. So what will we do is, so just to validate whether it is working or not, let's do Terraform here with help. Yes, we got the commands, main commands and all other commands and global options, everything we got it. So we'll check for the version also. Terraform and version option. Yes, it's Terraform version 1.3.7 on Windows AMD 64. So all set. Installation and installation and configuration is done. So you can write a Terraform script and provision provision infrastructure. So that is our next exercise of provisioning the infrastructure. Setup is done. So now it's time to write configuration to complete this build infrastructure in AWS exercise. The set of files used to describe infrastructure in Terraform is known as a Terraform configuration. So you'll write your first configuration here to define a single AWS EC2 instance. So each Terraform configuration must be in its own working directory. So for that, before you writing a configuration file, you have to create your own create a working directory, and then you place that uh, instant configuration file in that working directory. So but before we do that, we will look into the configuration file once. As we have discussed earlier in our previous slides, uh, basically a configuration file consists of three components mainly. The first one is the Terraform block. So the Terraform block contains Terraform settings, including the required providers Terraform will use to provision your infrastructure. And for each provider, the source attribute defines an optional host name, a namespace and the provider type. Terraform installs providers from the Terraform registry by default. So in this example configuration, the AWS provider's source is defined as HashiCorp AWS, which is shorthand for registry.terraform.io /HashiCorp /AWS. You can also set a version constraint for each provider defined in the required providers block. So the version attribute here, it is a required version, and then version, the main version, and then a required version. And here you can see the source. So mm, so the version attribute is optional, but we recommend using it to constrain the provider version so that Terraform does not install a version of the provider that does not work with your configuration. If you do not specify a provider version, Terraform will automatically download the most recent version during the initialization. That's the Terraform initialization. The second component of a configuration file is provider, the providers. So the providers block configures the specified. Here is the provider block. Provider is a block type, and then you have block label, then you have a block, and inside that you have the variable name identifier and then value of the identifier. So the provider block configures the specified provider. In this case, AWS. A provider is a plugin that the Terraform used to create and manage your resources. So you can use multiple provider blocks in your Terraform configuration to manage resources from different providers. So you can even use different providers together. For example, you could pass the IP address of your AWS EC2 instance to a monitoring resource from Datadog. Datadog is another cloud kind of service. Okay. So the third component is resources. You can see here the third component is resources here. So the resource, so use resource blocks to define components of your infrastructure. A resource might be a physical or virtual component such as an EC2 instance, or it can be a logical resource such as a Heroku application. So resource blocks two have two strings before the block, the resource type and resource name. So here we have AWS instance and then app server, and then AMI, and then instance type. These are the two mm, so resource type and then a resource name. In this example, the resource type is AWS instance and the name is the app server, and the prefix of the type maps to the name of the provider. In this example configuration, Terraform manages the AWS instance resource with the AWS provider. Together, the resource type and resource name from a unique ID for the resource. So for example, the ID for your EC2 instance is aws.instance.app.server. So that's the example here we have taken. So finally, the resource block contains arguments which you use to configure the resource. So arguments can include things like machine sizes, machine disk image names, here disk image name AMI, and then machine uh, size, that's T2.micro, or VPC IDs, virtual private cloud IDs, or providers reference list, the required and optional arguments for each resource. So for your EC2 instance, the example configuration sets the AMI ID to an Ubuntu image, in this example to the Ubuntu image, and then and the instance type to T2.micro, so which qualifies for AWS free tier, So it all sets a tag to give the instance a name. So now all set up, yeah, here we have a tag. So here you can have the a tag, the instance name. Instance name here we have given is example app server instance. So enough of looking at um, a theory. So now it's time to jump into the exercise and the practical exercise. So now let's create a file. So now let's use Sublime Editor to write a configuration file. So we'll create a file with a name first tf instance first 10 terraform instance.tf. For that we'll get into the folder. We'll just open the terraform, sorry, sublime text 3 by 3. So then we'll directly go to the folder. So we'll save that file directly so that we can get it. Save as, and then here, so first instance dot tf, so automatically yes. So here it is, here is the file. So now we are going to write the required configuration file. So we will begin with the provider. So what is provider in this case? So we'll begin with the provider block. So the provider block configures specialized basically the provider block configures the specified provider. In this case we are going to use AWS. A provider is a plugin that perform uses that Terraform uses to create manage your resources. So let me start writing a provider block. First block type, so provider block type with AWS label. Then we'll have a block opening, then inside that we'll write our first, that is a region, and then US East 1. Then after that you can include access key and secret key, but we have done the configuration of AWS CLI with the IAM user, so you don't need to do it here. So then we'll go for the another block, that is resources. Use resource blocks to define components of your infrastructure. A resource might be a physical or virtual component such as EC2 instance, so or it can be a logical a resource such as Heroku application. So here for us it is an EC2 instance, so I'll write resource and then AWS forward slash instance is one label, then intro is another label. Then I will open the block. So first we'll begin with AMI, and then let me get the AMI of this thing from, I'll go to the EC2 instances, that is uh, Windows will create a launch new EC2 instance TF, and then let me get back here, browse more AMIs, and then from here you can copy the AC. So just a minute, AMI. Okay, just a minute, it's something. Uh, okay, again, let me copy it properly. Yeah, that's done. Copy and then paste it. So first argument is given, the next argument is instance type. So instance type, I'll go with the T2 micro, so that's more than enough for us, it's free tier also. So then I'll go with the availability zone. So availability zone for us is US East 1. Yeah, that's what we are gonna check. Then key name, So as we have created, what's the key name? Let me get back to that folder. Key name is TFKP. Key name is TFKP. So that's done. Then after that, VPC security group IDs. So for that we have to create a security group. Let me put, yeah, square brackets first, and then after the square brackets, so we can use this. So now let me get back to the EC2 instance, security groups here, EC2 feature. This is EC2 feature. So I have a lot of security groups. Okay, let me close this. It's taking huge amount of time. Apologies for, okay, it's hung. I'm sure. So from here you have to copy the security group ID and paste it in as a value to the VPC forward slash security group forward slash IDs. Okay, it's taking still more time. I hope it has to come a little earlier. So after that, after you attach a security group ID in that, so then you can go for the tags, and then so once tag is done, so then we will get into the actual work. Oh, okay. Anyway, I have the security group. I'll just minimize this part, and then I'll attach the security group SG, and it's 0780815F double 5104 B8, sorry, B8A. So this is our security group. Now I'll attach tags. Basically this is a block, this is a block inside a block, this is a nested block. For that I will attach this things one more time, and then I'll begin with the name value, that is so I'll give uh, first TF instance. This is what the name is. Then after that, the project is Terraform. Yes, all done. Let me save it. Yes, our first ever Terraform configuration file is ready. It's all set. So now it's time to execute. It's time to initialize directory. So let me open the git bash in the same directory where my key pair and everything is presented. Okay, so let me get back there and then open it. So this is the place where we have created, we have written our first configuration files. So that's the reason I'm opening my git bash here only. So yeah, so let me start with LSA. So here you can see clearly first in tf instance.tf, this is what I'm talking about. So ours is clearly ready. So now let's do the initialization of directory. So what is initialization of directory? So when you create a new configuration or check out an existing configuration from a version control, you need to initialize the directory with Terraform in it. If you know git, we do git init. Similarly we do Terraform init. Okay, Terraform init. So now initializing a configuration directory basically downloads and installs the providers defined in the configuration. So in this example, we have taken AWS. So let's execute this, initialize the directory and see what is going to happen. So initializing the backend, initializing the providers plugin, reusing. So Terraform has been successfully initialized. Kudos to you guys, whoever is following this session. I hope you also, your Terraform has also been successfully initialized along with me. And then you may now begin working with Terraform. You can do the Terraform plan, you can do the Terraform format, you can do Terraform validate, you can do Terraform apply, and everything, whatever you want, you can do it. So it's all set. But one more thing I would like to explain before we go in for the main commands of the Terraform. That is Terraform basically downloads the AWS provider and installs it in a hidden subdirectory of your current working directory named .terraform. Now we have to find out whether it's been done or not. If you do it in Git now, so when you do a Git in it, so the Git folder will be created. Inside that, whatever the activities that happens, all will be happen inside that. Similarly for Terraform, let's check. So ls, yeah, here it is, .terraform. So let me get into that. Yeah, ls, you got the providers, that's what it's saying. So Terraform basically downloads the AWS provider and installs it in a hidden subdirectory of your current working directory named .terraform. Inside that .terraform, you will find the providers. Let me get into the providers, and here you see the Terraform providers. Okay, let me ls, yeah, registry.terraform.io. So here you'll have all, it's a directory. So cd, let me get into that registry, ls. So hashicorp, let me get into that also. I'm going in depth. AWS, yeah, this is what is AWS here. In this case, in our case, it is AWS. The Terraform provider is AWS. So finally you got it. Let me get into that AWS also, and let me look into that AWS ls 4.50. So cd 4.50, ls, and windows amd 64. That's what we got it. And then windows, and finally you got the Terraform provider AWS version 4.50.0.exe, that executive file. This is what I want you to see. So basically the provider, if you go for the another provider, GCP, Google Cloud Platform, you would have that GCP Terraform provider GCP version and the .exe file. If it is IBM, if it is some other. So that's what I would like you to see, and then I will get back to the previous one. Okay, where am? Yes, we got it finally. Yeah, we are back into our current our present into our directory where our configuration file is there. So in addition to that, it also has created the .lock file. So let me clear the screen and show you that. As it's mentioned, Terraform also creates a lock file named .terraform.lockhcl, so which specifies the exact provider versions used, so that you can control when you want to update providers used for your project. So let me ls, uh, it's terraform dot lslrt. It's let me get into that version control and hands-on terraform.tf instance. Okay, so when you do that, it automatically creates, when you do initialization, when you're doing that time itself, the log file terraform dot log dot scl will be created. So ls, and then yeah, so here is your file, .terraform.log.hcl. So let me do cat and then dot terraform dot log dot html. Oh, this is what it consists of. Okay. So this file is maintained automatically by Terraform init. So manual edits may be lost in future updates. So you should not edit at all. Okay. So let me clear the screen, and I've shown you that also. So now it's time to move up. So now we recommend, basically we'll do the format and validate the configuration file. So always hashi crop hashi corp Terraform, they recommend using consistent formatting in all of our configuration files. So that's the reason Terraform format, Terraform FMT command, Terraform FMT command automatically updates configurations in the current directory for readability and consistency. So we have to format our configuration. So Terraform. So once we click on that, Terraform as a, if you see that once you click on Terraform format, it has printed the file name. So Terraform has printed the names of the files it modified. So the first tf instance.tf is the file which we have modified it. So that's the reason it's been printed. So now we'll do it again, but this time there is no file has been printed because it was already formatted in previous time in the previously. So Terraform won't return any file names in this condition because it was formatted just a few minutes before. So it won't print it out anymore. So now let me clear the screen, and then we will we'll make sure your configuration is syntactically valid and internally consistent by using the Terraform validate. So the Terraform validate command, so validate your configuration. So in this example, our Terraform configuration is valid and we got success. Fantastic. We got success. Brilliant. So now once we got the success, validate, once we got the success message from the system, now it is time to create infrastructure. Make it clear. So let me write terraform apply. So apply the configuration now with the terraform apply command. So terraform will print output similar to what you're gonna see on the screen at this moment. So it will take yeah, it's done. So it's asking for a value output to set space, and then it's asking for a value basically. So do you want to one to add, or zero to change, or zero to destroy? So do you want to perform these actions? Terraform will perform the actions described above. Only yes will be accepted to approve. I will say yes. So I gave yes. So after, it will take few minutes. Basically there is some processing takes place before it applies any changes. Terraform prints out the execution plan, so which describes the actions Terraform will take in order to change your infrastructure master configuration. This is what the plan. The plan is one to add, zero to change, zero to destroy. So only one instance is to be added. So that's what the plan. So that's what the plan that was created by the Terraform. So that's the Terraform execution plan. So then after that, the output format is similar to the different formats generated by tools such as Git. So the output has a plus. You can see here volume ID, volume size, volume type. These are all being applied. So known after apply. So at least these things are being applied. At this moment they haven't applied, but once it is applied completely, okay, by the time by the time we discuss apply complete resources one added. It's all done. It's done. So but before we jump into the instance and check. So let's basically uh, get back to the screen output of the Terraform apply, and we'll look into the each activity that had happened throughout this execution of the command. So now, if you see that the output format is similar to that diff format generated by tools such as Git. So the output has a plus symbol. You can see here the plus symbol next to the next to the the EBC block device and for everything. So meaning that Terraform will create this resource. Terraform will give volume ID. Terraform will give volume size. Terraform will give volume type. So it shows the beneath that it shows the attribute that will be set. So when the value displayed as here I'm talking about when the value is displayed as known after apply, it means that the value will not be known until the resource is created. So for example, AWS sends Amazon a resource names ARNs to instances upon creation to so Terraform cannot know the value of the ARN attribute until you apply the change and the AWS provider returns the value from AWS API. So Terraform will now pause and wait for your approval, so that we'll get it in between. We gave that approval, and once it is done, so our plan will be executed. So let me show that first. Come down more, scroll on a bit more. So here, so this part I'm talking about the here. uh, so Terraform has actually paused here, and it has waited for our approval before proceeding. So if anything in plan seems incorrect or dangerous, it is safe to abort here before Terraform modifies your infrastructure. So that's the reason one manual intervention is required. So there you have to type, in this case the plan is acceptable. So I typed S. You can see that I typed yes. So at the confirmation prompt to proceed executing the plan. So it took a few minutes. Then Terraform EC2 instance is available. So now what you have to do, you have now created an infrastructure using Terraform. Now it's time to visit the EC2 console and find your new EC2 instance. Finger crossed it will work. So I'm in the EC2. I'll go to the EC2 instance. I'm in the let me so instance 1 is running. What is that? I'm not sure. So let me click on this, because that's it. Congratulations, guys, whoever is following this and then doing along with me. So we have created our first instance. The name that we have given is first TF instance. If you have any doubt, let me show the file. So the tag is first underscore TF underscore instance. So that's what. And then here is your instance. Here is your instance. So security group, key, pair name, TFKP, launch time just 57 seconds before. So this is the public IP, and availability zone that we have selected US East 1A, US East 1A. And so that's it. All checks passed. Instance ID. So let me click this. That's it. Successfully we have created our we have built our first EC2 instance in AWS using Terraform. So the first build infrastructure exercise is done. Congratulations, guys. Keep your morals high and follow me for the next exercise.